Start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, fam, we back at it. So I had to lay that foundation, as I was saying, so we can comprehend how these the gospel instruments, these documents that I'm about to introduce you to, actually function. I'm about to show you with this administrative process, which um, we call it the discharge process. It's part of the discharge and debt process. It's probably the process most of these folks that deal with credit repair use, but ain't nobody telling the regular folks how to use it. But you got a right to do and use any of these apparatuses that give you remedy from these folks claiming you owe any kind of debt. And so the administrative procedures, first of all, I got to teach you what an affidavit is, because we use affidavits as one of our major tools when these folks come after us for whatever reason, any kind of debt. Hell, an indictment is a debt. We don't seem to realize that indictments are debts, but they're trying to get some money from you ultimately. That means they're claiming a debt against you. So affidavit works like this. An affidavit is your word under penalty of perjury. So that means you bringing something of value to the table. Your word under penalty of perjury, you can go to jail if your word ain't right. So you bringing some ass to get some ass. So affidavit functions. So when you bring your word, somebody got to rebut that with a just as honorable word. So they got to rebut or say what you saying ain't true in an affidavit under penalty of perjury. Otherwise, what you state in your affidavit stands as a fact in a court judgment, a commercial fact in a court judgment. So what I'm about to teach you is how to hold court on these motherfuckers. Okay? So they seem to think that, well, they got us thinking that anytime somebody holler court, it's us going down to they downtown courts or whatever they at. But we have the authority and power to hold court as well. And our court is higher than their court. The only reason we all know this again because we're going to their schools. This ain't no deep shit. So affidavit, again, works like this as well. When a party that you send it to don't respond to it, that's a word called acquiescence. Look that word up, acquiescence. Acquiescence means I agree by my non-response. So whatever you put in your affidavit and send it to these corporate thieves claiming to be debt collectors in whatever form they come in, court, bill collectors, utility, whatever, then they'll have to be able to rebut this, which they never will be able to rebut because we know they're in bankruptcy. So that means they're going to agree by their non-response. So that's the power of affidavit. They never wanted to find this out. So whatever you put in your affidavit, say for instance, to give you a scenario, bill collector sending you some documents talking about you owe, give you a statement of that you owe some money for whatever it is. So this is what you're supposed to do when you know the law, which we should have been educated in. Educated in. We should have been educated in when we was in school, but we wasn't. So when somebody send you a bill, just say somebody on the street say you owe them. You ain't gonna just start reaching in your pocket talking about without even thinking, yeah, I better pay this, and you ain't thinking about how that you even got into it. So same thing with some corporate entity send you some correspondence, some presentment talking about you owe some money. You suppose that, hey, hold on, how is it that I owe you? Hey, I ain't trying not to pay. I do a lot of business. Shit, I might have forgotten. So I need you to validate that claim that I owe you. I need the wet ink signature contract that I got into with you, showing that you gave me some value that I must return. And I need you to do that in 10 days. And we're doing this in an affidavit. I'm giving you some game. Shut down any debt collector Any of them, even when you think you owe, this will knock their ass out in the first. Actually, the third, but you gotta give them 3 correspondence. So this is called affidavit of truth or affidavit of fact. And we stating it in there that I need you to prove that I owe. And if you can't prove that I owe you in 10 days, this debt going away. This is a fraudulent claim. So you send that to them, certified letter, get the green card, so they can, so you can know that they actually got the presentment and accepted it. Once they accept it, they on the clock for them 10 days. It's with any debt, y'all. Knock their ass out. So in 10 days, they don't respond, you send them another letter called opportunity to cure their fault, default, dishonor in commerce. They're already in bankruptcy. Now they talking about they ain't gonna, they somebody owe them and it's a fraudulent claim. So you send them an opportunity to cure. When they don't respond in 10 days, then you send them 10 days after that the default judgment. This is called administrative summary default judgment. We just held court. And once you get the default judgment, that is the judgment. The controversy dispute is over because they didn't agree to whatever you said in your affidavit. And in our affidavit, yeah, say we're talking to whoever, credit card, utility company, whoever. We may have been paying and then couldn't pay. So now that you can't validate that claim that I should have been paying in the first place, all the money that I done paid you before I couldn't pay, I need that back because you couldn't validate the debt in the first place. It was fraud. Clear evidence by your default judgment that you acquiesced to, which meant you agreed with what I put in there, that I didn't owe you and you owe me all that money back, plus damages. So this default judgment becomes what is called a negotiable instrument. It becomes money. See, when you read House Joint Resolution 192, since they took the dollar off the gold and silver standard, only thing that's operating now is what we call negotiable instruments. They're using it as legal tender and currency. So one of the negotiable instruments that's used as legal tender is a default judgment. That's debt, right? They're selling debt all the time. You owe somebody $1,000, they sell the debt because they can't get it to somebody for $5. The person for $5 gonna try to get the money out of you. They're gonna try to get 3, 4, whatever they can get. They selling debt. And this is the game of debt. It's game time, y'all. About to learn the game today. So I just showed you how to hold court. Just think about it when you go to court. Now that was a 3-step operation, procedure. When you go to court, what happens? First thing, you go to arraignment. What is the arraignment about? Somebody that filed a complaint. That complaint is an affidavit. If it ain't an affidavit, it ain't due process, baby. So the complaint is an affidavit that brings the charge. That's the first step. So that complaint must be rebutted, but through the lawyer, whether you pay him or not, tell you, hey, you need to rebut this affidavit. So they'll let you know whether you pay him or not to run a game on you. You must rebut the affidavit, otherwise it's going to stand as a fact, and you're going to acquiesce to it. So check it out. So I send them an affidavit, and somebody put in a complaint. Same thing going on in court. That's one step, right? So then you come back for the pretrial. That's my opportunity to cure. When I give them a second opportunity to cure their dishonor or validate the debt. So here comes the third step. Now after the pretrial, you go to the trial, right? By the time you're in trial and you ain't rebutted that affidavit, it's a default judgment happening, baby. So my third step is the default judgment. It's 3 steps, just like the court. Affidavit of truth, opportunity to cure, default judgment. Arraignment, pretrial, trial. Same game, baby. It's called administrative procedures from the Administrative Procedures Act. So again, we should have learned this in school, but you're getting it today. So you just learn how to discharge and destroy any debt that these folks coming at you with. You should win 100% of the time. Why? Because I just explained to you, they're in bankruptcy. Chapter 11 reorganization as we speak right now. So how could they have ever given you anything of value that they can claim you owe? They ain't got shit to give. So what else am I saying? I'm telling you that you the creditor in the whole game. You the sovereign motherfucking creditor in the game. Never owing nobody in the public, no entity ever. I know ain't nobody ever told you this. You never owe, even when you're honest. You so honest you think you owe. You want to pay these folks. You don't owe even when you think you owe. I got you back. I got you back though. Check it out. You go get a car, finance it. Go get a house, finance it. How you gonna pay for it if the game is bankrupt and there ain't no money? And these Federal Reserve notes is debt. Look across the top of your money and say Federal Reserve note. The note, somebody got to pay the note, like the house note, car note, Federal Reserve note. Somebody got to pay the damn note when it comes time to pay. So that ain't even money. We killing folks for this shit. It ain't even money. You the real money. So you can discharge debts. You using administrative procedures. Didn't know you could do that. Any debt, try it. Try it with your utility bills. I base all this off the House Joint Resolution 192, June 5th, 1933, 73rd Congress first session, and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which came on the scene after that to enforce that. So now you can't just say somebody owe you some money and can't prove it. IRS, I don't care who the hell it is. They can't prove that they gave you some value to get back some value you don't owe. But let me go back with my scenario about home loans, for instance. You folks think you owe these folks for these home loans, but you don't understand the game. Everybody got a home loan, car loan. You sign a promissory note. Now, when you read House Joint Resolution 192, it tells you that the Treasury has the obligation to pay all debts, public and private, principal and their interest. So, obligation is not yours to pay. But we never seen House Joint Resolution 192 in school. That was never part of the history lesson. So the Treasury has the obligation to pay. So what's going on is a public and private thing. So in the public is where the value is at. So the private notes in the public can't be used. So the private notes cannot be used in the public. So this is what's going on to facilitate us being the creditors in the game. It's never broke. We can fill out promissory notes. You go get a loan, they're gonna put a promissory note in your face. That promissory note is a private note where the value is really at on the private side. So they're gonna take this private note, and I'm getting this next thing I'm about to tell you from the Chicago Federal Reserve Board publication, Modern Money Mechanics, page 6.